My name is Liz Alexander. I am a thought leader, public servant, and advocate, and I serve children in the juvenile justice system. I founded the project called She Dreams of Freedom. It's a multimedia collaborative that's used to raise visibility about the plighted girls in the juvenile justice system. And so this work came out of being in the field doing juvenile justice work in Chicago and recognizing girls were not in the conversation when we talked about intervention, prevention, diversion. But that was contrary to my experience when I went and visited prisons, and I would see girls, and I recognized that girls were incarcerated for horrific things. So like, for example, sex trafficking, right? So in some states in this country, we criminalize children who have been rescued from child prostitution. So instead of taking them to rehabilitative centers, we put them in prison. So out of the need, to just really tell the world that this is happening, and then to also use the platform to empower girls to serve as their own advocates, to ultimately impact public policy and make some serious changes around how we service girls in the juvenile justice system. So right now I have a public service announcement I've been using as a talking piece. I try to do as many workshops and conference presentations as possible. But ultimately the vision is more public service announcements, interviews. Like I said, I really want to give girls these platforms to speak on their own, speak on their own terms about their own experiences, to serve as advocates for themselves. And then other ways to educate the general public. So like a web series, using like a fictional narrative based on the real life experiences of girls. So I mean, Orange is the New Black has nothing compared to the narratives of these girls. So things like that. Raise public awareness, be an advocacy tool, like I said, and then ultimately transform the justice system. Outside of the visuals, I also write for the Juvenile Justice Information Exchange. And so I utilize that platform, to really speak from a position as expert on issues affecting girls in the justice system. And then I also in talks about doing a podcast. So again, giving girls these platforms to talk about the experiences. And so that's phase one. Phase two is creating safe spaces for girls. Right now, there's no place that exists that girls post prison release can go to that specifically addresses their needs. And so when I say the incarcerated girls, they look like girls who have experienced sexual violence, abuse, homelessness, mental health issues, the gamut. And so they need spaces and services that meet all those needs. So I'm talking about a trauma-informed, gender-informed, holistic, and I'll say womanist space, to assist them in their healing process to ultimately become self-sufficient, healthy adults. So what led me to the work, one, I actually have a brother right now who's serving 22 years in prison for manslaughter, and he actually got into the justice system as a juvenile, and he actually has some mental health issues that we as a family didn't really have the adequate resources to really deal with. So when he first got incarcerated, we didn't know, how to support him. And then, just with a lot of compounding factors that ultimately led, to this offense that landed him in prison. So when I decided to pursue social work, I specifically targeted a program that dealt with violence prevention and trauma. And then being in the field, and then also thinking of my own personal experience, I recognized the link between trauma and delinquency. And so was doing that. And so like I said, being in this space, being in prisons and seeing girls and then learning about the risk factors, so what puts them in prison, many of these risk factors reminded me of women and girls who I knew, including myself, having lost my mother young, being raised by my brothers, father's not really present, all these factors, but what did it for me was the protective factors, the mentors, the love, the just different opportunities. And so I know to be true, in order to really disrupt this pipeline for girls, I feel like there is a blueprint, and not to sound condescending, but I have it, and my life journey kind of, is like a blueprint, me and other women who I know who have been able to be resilient. And so meeting these girls and learning these different factors really pushed me and propelled me to be like, you know what, I want to stand up and be a voice, and not only be a voice, but to work in relationship with these girls who are experts of their own experiences. I want to work with them so we can, create this change and dismantle this prison, this pipeline of girls into the juvenile justice system.